Yeah, this is actually a pretty quick playbook. It's easy to walk through. The main focus of this playbook is to really show you how much you should be making from your database, if that makes sense. So it does help you set up some goals. All right, so a little bit, so I'll just be reading, and anytime we want to talk, please interrupt me. Um, but it is true, your database is your business. You know, as like I said, Gary and Jay have been telling us that for as long as actually just about any salesperson, any sales class you're ever in will tell you that your database is your business. That's why a lot of times they call it your data bank instead of your database, because that's where your money is. You know, as they say, we've been digging into more top agents' databases. We've noticed an alarming trend that the number of contacts has increased dramatically while the quality and consistency of touch programs are declining. So this has resulted in a very low overall conversion rates, artificially high lead acquisition expenses, and millions in lost revenue. Does that resonate? I know, Adriana, you're a little new, but Mike, does that resonate with you a little bit?
Oh yeah, I'm cleaning mine up right now.
Yeah, and the big thing there is the consistency. You've got to do it on a daily basis. You got to touch out to your database on a daily basis. So, like I said, this playbook is designed to help you access your current database's value. So, I know, Mike, you told me how many you have in your database. Adriana, how many do you have?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
Let's see, like logged into command so far.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I have 139 of my contacts added to command, but I probably have like 500 on social, and I know there's more in my phone I haven't gotten over there yet.
No, that's fine. I would get everybody that you know into command as soon as possible. And if you don't have an email address, that's a reason to reach out to them to get their email address. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, like I said, here the database assessment here is pretty simple. So first, we're going to do the math to determine the value, conversion, and financial opportunity in your database. So step two is they call it the slow to spend, nurture the leads you have, and potentially slowing your lead generation expense. And that's referring to hopefully you're getting your leads organically instead of having to, pay monthly or, pay a referral fee for them. So increase the quality of your SOI touches. Adriana, SOI is sphere of influence. So that's the people that you're close to and deal with regularly.
That's pretty much all I have at this point.
Yeah. Well, I think I said it out loud the other day. 91% of all of your all business in NAR comes from no more than 1 degree away from your sphere. That is a NAR statistic. So then inspect what you expect, review what you're doing and how you're doing it so you can improve upon it. Does that make sense? All right. So first, what we're going to do is determine the value of your database and determine your current total database conversion rate and determine your total database financial opportunity. Now, a lot of this is boring to a lot of people because it's numbers, but knowing your numbers is super important for any business person. If you don't know what you need to do to make money and how often you need to do it, it's going to be a struggle to do it regularly. Do you agree with that, Mike?
Yes.
Consistency is the word. It's the word. And something you'll hear me preach a lot is you gotta focus on the process. Do not focus on the results. If you focus on the process, the results will come. I would get more upset that I didn't reach out to your goal per day than I would be if an appointment didn't show up. Does that make sense?
Yes.
But so, see, in this following example, we analyzed the database that had 15,000 contacts that were composed of leads and contacts from an agent's sphere, past clients, aggregator leads, CRM ads, spend leads, met from open houses, and prospecting efforts that have been compiled over a 9-year period. their CRM ad spend had been running for 6 years. They closed 221 units for 120 million in volume. I know that's a large scale. So if you determine the value of your database, do you all have scratch paper, something to write on?
Yes.
Yep.
So write down, go ahead and write down your total number of contacts. Just count real people. And Adriana, that's going to count your social media people and the people in your phone that you haven't updated yet. So write down that total amount of contacts.
Define real people.
That's pretty vague. I don't disagree with that. I would say real people. I don't know how to answer that because my mindset, and this is me because of a salesman for my whole life, if it's a legitimate name and a phone number, that's a real person.
All right. I took it offline.
Do you disagree with that, or do you?
I've still got some people in there. I don't know whether they're real or not. That's why I'm saying, because my first 2 years I bought leads. So I just decided
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So some of mine, I don't know if they're real or not.
Yeah, well, that's true. And if you've got some leads, like I don't know, I've seen leads come through where the name is John Smith and the email is I don't have an email at don'temailme.com. So those would be not real.
Yeah, like Deion Sanders and Kevin Hart. I have them both.
Yeah, well, those are good clients.
They're now in trash.
Yeah.
Okay, but, continue. I'll look that up in KW and see what they define it as. I'm sure there is a definition.
Yeah, that's kind of a vague definition. I do agree with that. So lead cost multiplier. So this is how much would it cost you if you had to purchase these leads and contacts. So Mike, you bought leads for 2 years. So do you have an idea of a good number you would put down for that? Like how much per lead did it cost you?
Anywhere from 10 to 200, depending. Zillow's 200. You could get them like back at you and stuff for about $10 a lead.
So Zillow was 200 a lead per lead?
Yeah, Zillow's expensive.
Yeah. So would you say average it out maybe, I don't know, if you did a complete average, maybe $50?
$50.
Okay. And then the annual multiplier, so this is a guess on how long your database will yield opportunities at the current rate for as long as you operate it. So like the example, so they had 15,000, they figured $26 a lead. Annual multiplier is this is how long your database will yield opportunities at the current rate for as long as you operate it. So that was 3, which I think is a decent number. So that would mean this fellow's database would cost him $1.17 million over that 3-year period. Does that make sense? Does that math make sense? He had 15,000 leads at $26 a lead over a 3-year period. So if you did this math, what are y'all coming up? What are you coming up with, Mike?
540,000.
Adriana, what are you coming up with?
Still coming up with it.
Okay, that's fine. Take your time. Did you use 50, Mike? Did you stay with 50?
Yeah, I stayed with 50 at my 3,600 database.
Okay.
Times 3 is 540.
Yeah.
I can tell you
127,800. So
$127,000.
Yep.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
I can tell you your numbers are correct. Ricky Caruth is a free coach. He's got a 20,000. He got to 20,000 database when he started doing $1 million a year. He does 100 homes himself by himself with one assistant, and he has a 20,000 database. So 20,000 has been my goal to get to a millionaire real estate agent.
Perfect. That's awesome. All right, so that's telling you the value of your database from a cost perspective, like if you had to pay for all those leads. So your current total database conversion rate. So Adriana, you probably don't have this yet. So you put your total contacts in your database and then divide it by the number of transactions you closed last year. You see the math? What would you get, Mike, on that?
I'm using 2022 because 2023 was so bad. I'm not counting it. So we're using 2023 bad.
It counts. It still counts.
Just under 1%.
Just under 1%.
0.075.
Okay. So, Adriana, do you understand that math? What that does right there?
Yeah.
So, the question is that an acceptable rate for you? So, Mike, if you said 0.8, is that an acceptable rate for you? If your database includes your sphere, past clients, and contacts you have entered randomly and leads you have purchased.
Apparently, this says 1.5, so no, I'm inferior and I need to improve.
I don't think inferior would be the word I would use. Your database financial opportunity, again, we're going to put total contacts, and you can do this one, Adriana. So put your same total contacts and the database conversion rates you find acceptable. So this example put 4%. If you want to make that 2% or 3%, then you can do so. And then you would do your contacts.
Isn't 3% normal?
Yeah, probably. 3%? I would say 3% is probably, it's a good budget anyway. So if you took your total contacts times the percent, which of course if it's 3%, that's times 0.03.
That's too high. That 1.5 is better. That's too high. There's no way on a 3,600 database you can get 108 sales in a year. I just don't
think so.
No, maybe there's that lady that only has 100 clients that's a millionaire real estate agent, but that's so rare. Yeah, 54 is more attainable. I should be able to do 54 off of that. So 1.5%, I believe, is good.
Well, I mean, if you go from 0.775 to 1.5, you're doubling it.
Correct.
That's a drastic improvement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm also with Mike. I'm gonna go with 1.5 because I tried 3 and it said 25 transactions, and I don't know if I could do that.
That's attainable. You can do it. The word can't kills every businessman. Every business person is destroyed by the word can't.
Well, I'll phrase my goal of what I think and believe I can manage is 12.
Uh-huh. Okay, is that 1.5?
Yeah, that would be a little shy of 1.5.
Okay. So Mike, and yours was 54, right? If you do 1.5%.
Correct.
Okay. So that means now the financial opportunity of your database. All right. So this team here, like I said, they closed 221 units for 121 in volume, making their average sales price $550,000. According to the database numbers, they could have been closing 600 units from the database, which would have resulted in $208 million in volume and 379 closed units. The team owner decided that this was the missing money needed to live their best life, and now would challenge say and get closer to that freedom number. And they slowed the spend and increased the quality of their sphere touches and inspected what they expected to get the results they knew they could. And the key to that is reaching out to your sphere consistently. You should reach out to everybody in your sphere once a month with the purpose of talking about real estate. Yeah, you don't want to make every conversation about real estate, but you should. If you reach out to your sphere once a month, you're gonna get a lot from that. So slowing the spend. What this is talking about, Adriana, is spending less money to purchase leads and trying to get more leads organically. Essentially, is what this is saying. And Michael, you've gone to complete organic now, right? You're not spending money at all. Is that right?
Well, I still get call lists sometimes. I still get fed expired FSBO, and I buy neighborhoods sometimes. But I don't pay anybody I just pay for call lists. And I'm a caller.
Okay. Yeah. I like calling and door knocking. That's my best. Let's see. I want to read through. So once you do your math.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I told myself I wouldn't pay for a lead until I made some actual money. So.
Yeah, that's a good thing. You want to lead with revenue. That's for sure. And there are lead sources that you'd only pay them at closing, but it's probably anywhere from 30 to 40% of your closing commission will go to that lead source. And that's an extremely expensive lead. All right. So once you've done all this, your first question should always be, do I have good contact information? And you're always going to see the TCPA compliant. That means if they're on the no-call list, you're not supposed to call them. But that whole thing's a whole nother conversation. So if your answer to that's yes, of course, then contact them. It doesn't matter. The answer is no, then either tag these people as bad information and then try to get better information, or move them into a separate spreadsheet. And you'll soon discover who does or does not have good contact information once you actually start trying to reach out. So Michael was talking about that, as your real people start coming forward, and the fake people you'll learn really quick when you start actually calling your list. You know, when you know who doesn't, you may choose to send the list to a third-party company like likely.ai for a contact refresh. Companies like this will wash the data that you do have against their giant databases and try to help you fill in the blanks. You ever heard of them before?
I had a terrible experience with, don't get me started, Likely. They messed it took me a couple months to get my database recleaned back up. Okay, yeah, they're not very accurate.
So we'll just skip forward. But essentially, I think you should update your database on your own anyway. And if you have a team or people working with you, then they can help you update your database. And it's a great contact and a great personal contact. And what that means, Adrian, is like if you've got an email address but no phone number for somebody, just email them and ask them, hey, I'm updating my database. Do you mind if I have your phone number? Some will say no, most will say yes. So it doesn't hurt at all. So like the next group of people you're going to find are those who have not been contacted in a human way. It goes without saying that if you're not contacting people in your database, the odds of doing business with them goes way down. This group needs to be contacted and represents the increased opportunity available in your database. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that one guy from North Carolina gave me the great idea. I do it now. I use Facebook and Instagram to find people and get their numbers. I look them up. I look them up on Facebook and Instagram and direct message them.
Yeah. Yeah, people don't mind to give that information. It's not like
or they won't respond to you either way.
Yeah. So I'll pivot off that. So I took a class that taught me that, like if you send an email, if you leave a voicemail, you have like a 3% chance, like 3% of the people return that call. If you send an email, I think it's like a 14% return an email. If you send a Facebook message, like you talked about, it's like a 76% return. A text message is a 84% return, and a video text message is a 98% return. Wasn't that interesting?
It's absolutely correct too.
Yeah. So I've actually, what I like to, for people's birthdays, like today, Jill Brigman's birthday, I'll send her a video text for her birthday. And what's funny is from time to time I get video text messages back. I get a response, but sometimes I actually send a video text back. Kind of interesting. But instead of just texting, just take a video of yourself texting or saying what you want to text, and it's amazing at the responses you'll get. Okay, well, thanks for that, Mike. Thank you. Let's see. So where did I go? So this group needs to be contacted and represents an increased opportunity available in your database. They should be treated as new leads in your system. Treat them as you would any new lead that enters your system. If you do not have a new lead in your system, try using a simple 12 days of game plan. This means that you contact them each day for 12 consecutive days until the contact is made. Like they don't answer the phone, you call them the next day. If they don't answer the phone, shoot them a text. If they don't answer the text, shoot them an email. Just keep contacting them over and over again until they respond. Which for me, I would probably have limiting beliefs about that because I wouldn't like to receive it. But at the same time, it's a numbers game. Not everybody thinks that way. Let's see. So,
yeah, you're going to get a lot more negative back than you will positive. Don't let
Yeah.
that get you down, especially for new agents. I'll tell you, I get 5 to 1 negative to positive back. And I do a lot of texting and calling.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's okay. And the reference I like to make is that how often do you get those calls to extend your car warranty? And how aggravating is it? But they still do it, and they do it because it works. It works for them. If they get one person to answer out of 100, they've done what they need to do. So it's all a numbers game. So here, this conversation's open, an easy discussion right here. So, hey, this is Ben. I'm a real estate agent with Keller Williams Realty Group. We spoke back in August and lost touch. So, what is your real estate plan for the rest of 23 or 24? And they'll answer that question. They may say, I have no plans, thank you, bye, and hang up the phone. They may say, who's Ben? You never know what they're going to say, but you will get an answer to the question. But like I said, the key is once you make contact, they get set up on the right follow-up plan, so you know they do not fall through the cracks. That way, you know, hey, they may be looking to buy or sell something in 24. Maybe they're going to look to be in investment properties. You might learn that. You may learn, well, we're not looking to buy right now, so we have no interest in selling our home right now. So you may put them on a plan just so they remember your name when they do remember to sell their home. You want to be sure that everybody in your database, you've got them on some kind of plan to where you're reaching out to them as they need. Does that make sense? And at worst, I think this monthly neighborhood nurture they're talking about right here is very important. And if you have their address, it's already automatically they can receive it. If you don't have their address, you can just go into command and pick a neighborhood and send them information about that neighborhood, and then put them on that smart plan, and it'll go automatically. You can do it monthly or twice a month. This is a very important part of it, is the quarterly phone call. Right now it's trending that even though you have people on a smart plan, email, text messages, that the phone call is the most important part of that, even if you call them just 4 times a year, once a quarter. And that's not like, the last week in March, you sat down and call your entire database, but you schedule it throughout each quarter that you're trying to reach out to everybody via phone call per quarter. It's still that personal human touch. Text messaging is easy, emails are easy. The personal human touch, people still like it, even though all that technology is available. Do y'all agree with that?
100%.
Yeah, that's why I think a lost art is the handwritten note. If you send a handwritten note where you actually wrote it, whether it's 1 line, 2 lines, whatever it is, even if it's just a thank you from Adriana, and send it, people take a lot of they take that to heart, because they see that you took actual effort, and it's not just something that you had printed out and folded up and put in an envelope and sent, or just had somebody else automatically send. They know you put time into it. Does that make sense? I personally keep them when people do that. So increase the quality of your sphere touches. So we would all love to increase the number of repeat and referral business that we receive. In order to do so, we have to focus on 2 levers: the quality of the touches we're making and the frequency in which we're making. When we nail both of these, you're running an amazing, powerful touch program. When we miss on either one, your results are going to diminish. The number of repeat and referral customers that we get to work make up a large part of our compensation. We are here for money. Does anybody not want to make money? Okay, just checking. So in the book, The Wealthy Gardener by John Soforic, is that how you pronounce that? Soforic. Are y'all familiar with that book? Either one of you, The Wealthy Gardener?
Nope.
No.
Not either, except for what it says here. He defines compensation as something we get for something we give. Repayment for a contribution that is needed and useful. And that's huge. Those 2 words are huge: needed and useful. The question you ask yourself, of all the touches that I'm currently making, are we being needed and useful, or are we not? By removing touches that do not fit, either needed or useful, and replacing them with touches that do, will improve your conversion rates. Now, I've talked about these examples before, I think. So it's common for real estate agents to send postcards that have messages around, it's time for your spring cleanup, or 5 ways to get ready for spring. Jason Abrams told me, he said, if I get one more person that adds something else to my to-do list, I'm going to freak out. You know, that's the way he looks at it. I know it's time to clean the gutter. I know it's time to do this. I don't need to be reminded. I don't need things added to my to-do list. But we all do that. So at the end of this playbook, you'll find there's a list of touches that we found that you may want to add to your touch programs to increase the needed and useful. What's neat about this bags is that it's an example to where, are there many neighborhoods here to where you bag your leaves and they come pick up the bags?
We just put them to the street.
Yeah,
you can't
no.
bag 'em.
They just rake them to the street and they come suck them up.
Yeah, a truck comes through. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could schedule
Yeah,
it.
Well, this example would be for one that they still put the bags there. Is that so? An agent went through the whole neighborhood and handed out leaf bags that had his name, brokerage, his phone number, his email. So there was just lines of bags up and down the streets with his information on it. And he gave away leaf bags so those people didn't have to go buy leaf bags. See, I think it's a pretty good marketing ploy. But he made himself useful. Does that make sense? And my question would be, would you remember the person that said, don't forget to rake your leaves in an email? Or would you remember the person that brought you 20 leaf bags with their name all over it?
The bags, of course.
Yeah. I say that it doesn't have to be answered. So inspect what you expect. This is essentially holding yourself accountable. And you always need to hold yourself accountable. Even if you have accountability partners, if you're not holding yourself accountable, it doesn't work. Does that resonate? Because Michael, if I'm calling you every Friday and said, yeah, I called 10 people, I had 5 appointments set up, and I didn't even reach out to one person, but I could tell you that I did. So I'm not being accountable to myself, but I am being accountable to you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because especially when you get in like group accountability, people don't like to be the one person that didn't do what they were supposed to do. It's not everybody, but some people, if you're not honest with yourself and accountable to yourself, it's really hard to be accountable to a group. So far too often people assign work to others and then assume that the work was completed at the standard that they would find acceptable. Always inspect what you expect, because that leads to poor results. Especially if you're assigning the work, like if you assign database cleanup to somebody, you might be paying them for it, but it's not their livelihood, right? The result of that's not their livelihood, so they don't have the sense of urgency that you would have. So you have to make sure that they're getting so many done a day to meet the needs that you need. Does that make sense? Essentially just holding yourself and or the people you've hired accountable to do what you need to do to succeed in your business. And sometimes you got to fire yourself. You ever done that before, Adriana? Have you ever fired yourself from a job?
No, I fired my husband a couple times.
Well, he probably needed it. But if you truly want to get higher conversion rates from your current contacts, you must purposefully inspect a few things each week. And this can be done in as little as 30 minutes. And it may turn out to be the most profitable 30 minutes of your week. So one, every lead that you want to reactivate is on a 12 days of game plan. Number 2, every active buyer in the system is on an automated email property search and or a monthly neighborhood nurture focused on the areas they would buy in. And I don't know if you know, Adriana, but the property search you can do from Paragon. So like if I was looking at houses in a certain area, like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, you could put criteria on a search, and every time a listing hits the market that fits that criteria, the email goes directly to your client.
And you can do the same thing for your sellers too. You just put their
Yeah.
neighborhood, every sold property. Instead of active, you put sold. Because neighborhood
Yeah.
nurture doesn't work right because inventory is so low. We won't go into that now, and I've already brought it up to the Bobs. But in case you're not
Yeah.
familiar, that neighborhood nurture doesn't work the way it's supposed to because of the low inventory.
Yeah. Low inventory does hurt it.
Yeah.
But the main purpose of the neighborhood nurture is for you to send them an email that's got your name attached to it. It's not, you're right. It's not always going to be 100% correct or 100% current. Is that better? Do you think, Michael, to say it's not 100% current all the time?
What's
so every
that?
person in the neighborhood nurture.
It's got too many issues. I just use the collab center now. That's why I'm saying you can do the same thing in the collab center, because I use the collab center a lot. You just put solds for their neighborhood. So every time one sells in their neighborhood, it sends them so they can see they just want to see what the values are. And that way they hits them up every time. They're getting an email with your name and stuff on it. Same concept, correct?
Yeah, exactly same concept. Yep, exactly the same concept. Every person in the database, every person is not an active buyer. It's on an automated email property search or monthly neighborhood nurture focused on the neighborhood that they live in. So that could be the same thing. You could send me stuff that even if I'm not actively working with you, you can send me information on the neighborhood that I live in once a month, just so I understand the value of my home, how it's changing. Sort your database each day by recently active and contact those people who are most recently on your site, looking at properties or interacting with your monthly neighborhood nurtures or your saved searches. The only reason you're sending them the drips is to get them to click on links so that you know they are active and can contact them. Every contact is on a quarterly phone call smart plan. So what that would mean is you would just create a smart plan on each person to remind them. So every 90 days, it'll give you a task to call that person that day. And the smart plan can do that. It can add it to your task list. All tasks and smart planned activities are done when they are due and never late. Late actions kill revenue, and that's how you fall behind. Like, essentially, that's everything is speed to lead. If you get somebody that says, even if a buddy calls and says, hey, I think, Debbie down the street's going to sell her house, you need to call Debbie down the street as soon as you can. If you wait and say, well, I'll call them Monday, somebody else has probably already called them. Does that make sense?
Already signed them up.
Yeah. You got to speed to lead is huge. Your database is your business. That is huge right there. Always your business. You always need to take time to take care of it, update it. Make sure it's set up like you like it, because you can, in Command particularly, I know you can move around and change your database, make it look like you want to. Change the columns, update the columns, add things. So it's pretty handy. So there's a ton of unique touches right here. I would love to go over them all, but I know it's a bunch. Like shredding party. That's a fun one. Make a deal with a mobile shredding service to drive to your sphere's houses and shred all their paperwork and documents for them that they need. Do junk removal, do gutter cleaning. I talked to a guy that did this. He paid for 1 week's worth of appointments from a gutter cleaning service, and then just put his clients in each slot, and that person went and cleaned their gutters at no charge to the clients. But do you have this, Mike? Do you have the Database Assessment Playbook? I think you said you do have these, right?
I have all the playbooks. I haven't read this though. This is the first time going through this. I will be honest.
Okay.
I have not looked at it.
No, it's fine. I was gonna share it with you if you didn't have it.
No,
do you have it, Adriana, or do you need me to share it with you?
If you can share it with me, that'd be great. I do not have it.
I will do that. So and like I said, there's a couple of pages of ideas that you can give. And some of these ideas are low budget, some of them are great big budget. Like I saw a sporting event here there's a big team in Cincinnati that every year they invite. There's 8 people on the team. They call everybody in their sphere and invite them to a Reds game, and they pay for the tickets to the Reds game. And they get them a goodie bag. Each one of them gets a goodie bag and a newly designed T-shirt every year when they go. And I think last year he took 1,200 people to a Reds game. That probably meant that there was 2,400 people at that Reds game. But and and he does get sponsors for it. He doesn't write that big check by himself. He gets sponsors for it. But what kind of return on investment do you think? You think he's making money on that? I mean, true, you have to have that money to spend it to make that kind of money on that kind of deal. But if you get return on investment, it's always worth the money. Yeah, you always want to get 3-to-1 or 4-to-1 return on your dollars. This would always be fun, like just having a movie night. You can do that pretty cheap just about anywhere you want to. There's some fun, good ideas in here. Well, and that's about it of it. Any questions about it? Did we like this, dislike this?
It's a good playbook.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna share it real quick. What's that, Adriana?
Oh, I said I liked it.
Okay. Any questions, ahas, comments? I know the instructor is kind of boring.
No, you're fine. I don't really know if I have any questions. I've been just kind of struggling with, like, I know I have my sphere and that's kind of everything, but like judging when it's a lead or, because I feel like I'm just kind of in the nurture stage of everything.
You're new. So I'll give you definitions on that. So a lead is like if I said, hey, Adriana, here's Michael's number. I heard he may want to buy or sell. At that moment, Michael's the lead.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense? And that should go into your command. He turns to a contact by definition when you call him and you have a conversation, and he doesn't say, don't ever call me again. Now he's a contact because you have permission for a 2-way conversation. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So your goal is to get your leads and make them into contacts. And then your goal is to make your contacts into appointments. And that's where the percentage of your database comes into play. Because, of course, not everybody's going to buy or sell every year. But I can promise you, just about everybody knows somebody that's going to buy or sell every year. And that's why you always keep in touch with your sphere. And it sounds like you got a big sphere. If you've got already 130 in your command and you've got 500 on your Facebook and plus other contacts in your phone you haven't put in command yet, you've got a lot of people to reach out to. And it doesn't have to be anything magical. Just call them and let them know, hey, I'm in real estate. Need any help or know anybody needs any help, please think of me.
Yeah, I've been trying to do that pretty regularly. It's been going well. I just found out a friend of mine's expecting, and so they might be looking at purchasing later this year or early next year. So just that resonated when it was talking about like the quality of your touches. So I think just making that real personal connection, remembering things that are going on in their life.
Yeah, and just know that you will get way more failures than you will successes when you're lead generating, and that's okay. That's what's the old adage: if you're not failing, you're not trying. Fun thing I like to compare it to is a Hall of Fame baseball player fails 7 out of 10 times at the plate. He only succeeds 3 out of 10 times. Isn't that crazy? Some of them only succeed 2.5 out of 10 times. They just hit the ball further than the other ones. Well, but that's about all I got. Anything else? Mike, you got anything you want to add to it?
No, I think I'm good.
No, you just got to learn your buckets. If she hadn't gone to Ignite yet, learn your buckets. It's all about your buckets.
You taking Ignite? I think she is taking Ignite.
Yeah, went to last week. Monday was my first one. I think it might have been the first one for everyone, but yeah.
It was. Yeah, that was the first one. Of course, it's not going to be this Monday because it's Martin Luther King Day. So it'll resume on the 22nd. So
Yep,
perfect.
I'll be there. If not in person, on Zoom.
Well, I appreciate you guys jumping on. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for having it. Make it a great day. Nice virtually meeting you, Adriana. Have a good one.
You too.
Yeah, we'll see you guys very soon. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye-bye.